In today's episode, we're going to talk about World War III and also some social media trends to look out for. Enjoy. Welcome to the Age of Jeremy. My name is Jeremy Quintanilla. I'm the founder and CEO of Q Consolidated Limited. We focus on investing and creating businesses in media, entertainment, finance, investing and insurance, education and e-learning, arts, music and the humanities, earth and human sustainability, and advancement, and earth and space exploration and transportation. I hope I broke that up properly. I don't think I did, according to the commas. Our current businesses include 32 Warrior Academy, Q Financial, Age of Radio, and Merlin, just to name a few. You can find me on all socials at Age of Jeremy, except on X, it's at Age of Jeremy Q. And on Facebook, it's Cesar Jeremy Quintanilla, because I needed my name to match my driver's license for some reason. There are links in the episode description, so make sure that you follow me along all of the journey. If you're new to this podcast, this is all about the trials and tribulations I go through to build my business empire, and I hope you pick up some wisdom along the way. I also have guests that share their trials and tribulations, occasionally becoming content creators and the adventures they have gone through to become entrepreneurs. And what I meant by that is I have guests on here occasionally to do that. If you want to check out Coach Shay V's financial blueprint, from going to his mother's couch to building financial freedom, there's a link in my link tree in the episode description below. If you don't know who Coach DV is, go check him out on TikTok. It is a warrior's guide to financial freedom. It is absolutely free. Please also join my Q Consolidated channel in my Age of Jeremy Instagram account. I provide extra insight on all the things that I have going on in business and in my life. Hopefully you will find some wisdom in it. Again, it is free to join, just like that warrior's guide to financial freedom. Absolutely free. Also, make sure to check out ageradio.com to see all of our amazing podcasts. We will be adding more podcasts soon. If you have a podcast, make sure to check out to see how you can join up to be a part of our amazing network. You can also join our amazing community of content consumers and content creators at our Addicted to Podcasting Facebook group. All are welcome. All right, let's dive in. So in this week's main news, I would like to talk about the latest of what's going on with Israel. Israel death toll rises to 700 and the U.S. sends carrier. Israeli military struck targets in the Gaza Strip on Sunday, setting off fiery explosions and causing a building to collapse. According to APTN, which is the source. Some of this is coming from Bloomberg's news article, which I will put a link in the episode description. Also, I am not affiliated with Bloomberg. I'm a big fan of Bloomberg. Go make sure that you subscribe to Bloomberg. Israel said at least 700 were killed in the country since Hamas attacked, as fighting continued for a second day. This started on Saturday, October 7th, I believe. The fighting continued for the second day, which is today, Sunday. When I'm recording this on October 8th, you won't be hearing it till October 10th. The U.S. said it's moving a 6-vessel aircraft carrier strike group to the Eastern Mediterranean and is augmenting its fighter aircraft squadrons in the region. The Israeli army has regained control over some areas that were breached by militants from the Gaza Strip in violence that erupted Saturday. At least 370 Palestinians have been killed in fighting and retaliatory attacks. The operation by Hamas, which included taking scores of Israeli hostages, was an unprecedented incursion that has shaken regional stability and markets. Israeli officially declared war and says it won't stop until Hamas military infrastructure is dismantled, a task that seems likely to include a ground invasion and may take months. All right. So the reason why I'm bringing to you this is one, and again, I respect everybody's views, and especially my good friends inside of the academy and outside of the academy in regards to not watching news. I take a different stance on news. I have a 2-part stance on making sure that you understand what's going on in the world. If seeing what's going on in the world causes you anxiety and you don't have any way to cleanse your aura or to cleanse your alignment, I like to cleanse the aura, because all of that negativity sticks to our aura and then causes us to be depressed. It can cause us to have different, anxiety problems, feelings around some stuff, mainly anxiety and depression, I would imagine. If you are not doing that and you're not having that in your life, then I don't necessarily recommend watching the news or participating in the news. On the flip side, if you are if you are okay with those types of things and you have practices like yoga, aura cleansing, maybe the middle pillar ritual, which is an aura cleansing exercise that's a part of mysticism, or you plan and you clean your chakras on a regular basis, then I think you should be looking at the news as much as possible to know what's on in the world so you can understand what's happening. You can make predictions of the future, and it can help you understand what's happening in financial markets. And that's why it's super, super important. Like Warren Buffett, he reads 3 or 4 newspapers a day. I have subscriptions to Bloomberg. I used to have Wall Street Journal. I'm gonna pick that one back up. Get the Financial Times, the Arizona Republic. But I have access to most of it news feeds on my phone. But I think reading the magazine and the newspaper is even better. But I think it's really, really good to understand what's going on in the world. And I don't think that we should shelter ourselves with that. I think we should look at things exactly as they are, so that we know how to make future decisions based off for ourselves, for the ones that we loved. And if you're a leader, so you can make good decisions as a leader in your business and so forth, because all of these things affect your business. And if you don't know what's going on with that, then you can't utilize what's happening to see what's going to be coming. And an example of this is we're a high consumer discretionary company, right? And what I mean by that is 321 Academy. The more consumer discretionary income that people have, the more likely they are going to join our company. When those things start to change in the economy, the first things to go are things like the 321 Academy, whether or not in the long run it has a much greater benefit to you than some of the other things. It's just that it is a discretionary income spend. It's not a requirement. Now, whether or not you argue with me if you should be doing that, that's a completely different story, but that's traditionally how it happens. So knowing what's happening in the economy can affect your business, and you need to understand that. So you need to know what to do into the future so that you can make assessments and predict and so forth and so forth. So that's why it's really good to understand what's happening in the economy. The other thing that's really good, or in the world, so you can understand what's happening in the economy. The other thing about this is it's really beneficial for you to kind of know what's going on, especially since this is kind of a catalyst, in my opinion, that's going to lead us into possibly a world conflict, or World War III, as we would like to say it. And I've only had one post that's ever been taken down, and it was a post that I did on TikTok about how we need a world war to usher in a new financial infrastructure and a new world order. And so whether or not this is all by design, or these are things that kind of happen cyclically throughout time, and you could predict that these things were happening, it is likely that this is going to push the United States into a war against Hamas and or the Palestinians, because the conflict between Israel and Palestine, even though Hamas is one of the major political groups of Palestine and they own the Gaza Strip, is that they are technically a terrorist group. But what would probably happen is that this would push us into some type of a stronger relationship with Israel to help protect them and fight against Hamas. And then what that could do is, because Putin has said that he supports the Palestinian breakaway from as an independent state from, say, Israel, is that now creates Palestine and Russia as an ally. So then you would have China, Russia, and Palestine. And again, I'm not a political commentator or a foreign policy expert on this. In fact, one of the things that I love, one of the companies that I love, or organizations that I love, is the Council on Foreign Relations. I watch a lot of their YouTube. I have them pulled up right now. Go check out Council on Foreign Relations so you can get a better sense of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the place that the U.S. has on it. Because what could happen is, if we go into this, that now pushes the United States into some kind of conflict where we have Israel as our allies, and then Russia, Palestine, North Korea, and China would all become allies. And then I'm assuming, because it's the Chinese, then the Japanese are going to become our allies. They would help support us if something happened. And then again, we now are ushering ourselves closer to a worldwide conflict. And so now, again, not saying that this is specifically by design in any way, because I don't subscribe to that piece. I subscribe to people doing the best that they can with the ridiculous amount of information they have, and there is not a small secret order that is controlling the entire world. I don't subscribe to that. I don't believe in it. I don't think that there is enough evidence to specifically support that. Are there people that try to push things in their direction, and it can make us seem like there is an underground elite order of people that are ushering this? Of course I do. And so, but I don't want to say that this is all specifically by design. What I think is happening is we're moving into a next era of a world war. It's going to create a new world order. It's going to create a new infrastructure and banking system. And this is what's starting to happen. And this event is the thing that's going to push us closer to it because of our ties with Israel. Now, whether or not I believe the Palestinians should have a specific state, and again, I am not saying that the Palestine in general supports Hamas actions, but be Hamas being a specific terrorist group. I am just saying that I believe that this will create the different access and allies powers that would then create the concept of the World War III as we move forward. So that being said, to get involved with the Council on Foreign Relations, I highly recommend it. And I'm looking at what is the U.S. policy on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And so I'm going to go over the brief summary points of this and on Hamas. And so, in summary, the decades long conflict between Israelis and Palestinians is rooted in competing claims to the specific Holy Land and includes disputes over borders, Jerusalem security, and Palestinian refugees. So, the Palestinians believe that they should have control over the Holy Land. The Israelis believe that they should have control over the Holy Land, and they're all fighting over a piece of land. And so, the United States has long sought a solution to the conflict that results in two states, although the Trump administration adopted policies that diverge from that specific goal, which is one of the things is that traditionally the United States will side with Israel. And then if you have liberals that are supportive of both of them having, Palestine and both of them having their own state, which is what I personally subscribe to, is that then you are considered to be anti-Semitic. And if that's the case, then fine, call me anti-Semitic. I don't believe in God and don't give two fucks what happens with Christians, their holy land or whatever, because the Holy Land means nothing to me. And so that being said, but what I think from a logical perspective, if you're having two warring states, then both of them should have a specific state and they should learn to share the Holy Land together because that makes the most logical sense. And so when we look at it that way, it's possibly not going to be possible because both of them subscribe to that their religion is the right religion and the other religion is the wrong religion, which is one of the main freaking problems with religion. And so that being said, the Trump administration kind of diverged from those policies. And now that the Biden administration is back, he's seems to be very supportive of Israel. So I don't know what's going to happen with those. All I can tell you is what has happened in the past when a conflict is going on with Ukraine and Russia at a large scale where we are inadvertently supplying them. Well, we are directly supplying them with weapons. And I think that South Korea, there's another place that's inadvertently supplying them with weapons. And so when you have that kind of conflict going on between multiple countries, and then you have had the China-Taiwan situation, and then we usher into this Israeli conflict, that is, in my opinion, the starting of how you would get a conflict that eventually becomes World War III. I am not supportive of that. I am very active on peace, and I would consider myself a hypocritical pacifist, I guess you could say, because I do enjoy weapons and guns and fighting, but I do not want harm to anybody, and I want there to be world peace. In fact, I would prefer we go towards the end times in world peace, and that is one of the biggest problems that I have with scripture in general, is that the closer that we get to world peace and one world order, the more likely that it is that it is the mark of the beast, which is essentially designed to keep us all separated and apart from each other, where it would make more sense for us to have one world order, because eventually we will have multiple worlds. And that's going into a completely different conversation. So the United States has long sought a solution to the conflict that results in two states, although the Trump administration adopted policies that diverge from that goal. The Biden administration has reaffirmed U.S. support for a two-state solution. So I guess I should have read that before I said that before, even though he is showing support for Israeli against the Hamas situation. Two states, but hasn't moved to restart negotiations. So in the time that Biden has been in office, he has not restarted those negotiations. It has instead promoted Israeli-Arab normalization and resumed aid for Palestine. So we have actually been pushing aid into the Palestine people. And then at this time now, Hamas, which are Palestinians, they are a terrorist organization, which is what I'm going to talk about now. They actually did the strike against Israel, and then Israel declared war on Hamas and have been bombing the Gaza Strip. So in summary, a spinoff of Hamas is a spinoff of the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. In the late 1980s, the Islamist militant group Hamas took over the Gaza Strip after defeating its rival political party Fatah in elections in 2006. I apologize if I'm saying that right. I should know how to say it because I took a Islam class, but a lot of we had to learn a lot of the Arabic and the Persian language, to at least how to say things to understand words. So my apologies to anybody for misspeaking on Fatah. The United States and European Union have designed Hamas a terrorist organization because of its armed resistance against Israel, which has included suicide bombings and rocket attacks. Which confuses me because if we're giving aid to the Palestinians or weapons to the Palestinians, couldn't they then be giving them to Hamas? So could it be our own weapons that are going to Hamas to do these things against Israel? Which now we're standing against Israel against Hamas, but we were the ones that fed the weapons to Palestine in the first place, or gave aid to them. Anyway, Hamas's 2001 conflict with Israel ended in a ceasefire and raised the group's standing among Palestinians, many of whom now favor Hamas's leaders over Fatah's. So essentially, because Palestine has those two political parties and Hamas is the main political party, it could be thought of that this is a war against Israel and Palestine, the way that I'm reading it in this article. But essentially, it's Hamas, which is a terrorist organization that did the bombing of Israel, and it's going to continue. Um, and so I think it's really important to know and to keep an eye on what's happening in these kinds of conflicts. I know a lot of people will say that these are specific that it's a war narrative to hide other stuff that is going on, and that is perfectly fine. That could very, very well be, and so I am not in disagreement of that specifically. But I would recommend that you stay on top of what is going on with this war that has broken out in Israel, along with the war that's going on in Ukraine, and partake in community, state, country, and worldwide news so you can make better decisions in financial markets and for your business as the economy changes with this new news. The reason why Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are able to make really strong decisions when it comes to business is because they take as much information from the news, right? As much information that they can to assess what's going to happen in the future. And when you can assess what's happened in the future, then you can make better assessments and better decisions for your business and for your finances. And with that, we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. And I hate to shift gears so far, talking about possibility of a world war conflict, but and then going into social media predictions. But I've just been spending so much time on social media, focusing on growing my social media, our social media, getting better at content, hopefully getting better at this podcast. Still lots of things to continue to get better at. But I think that it's good for you as a business owner and as for a content creator or whoever you are listening to this to get an idea of some 2023 social media trends that have continued throughout 2023 that will, in my opinion, be going into 2024. And so I think that this is important from a personal brand standpoint. If you're trying to create your own personal brand and you're wanting to do that as a content creator, or you're doing it as apart from something, from wanting to stand apart in your, career, right? I think that it's good to know some of these trends and where they're continuing to go. And so, number one, I think that it's all going to be about authenticity. And so, um, is that rather than jumping on trends on social media, in order to stand out, you have to create more original content. And so the more original content that you can create in short form and or long form, the better it's going to be. Where I think in 2022 and going into 2023 and now getting stronger in 2023 and going into 2024, that's just going to be more prevalent is people want authenticity in the content that they're producing, especially since we have so much content that we want to consume. The more authentic you are and the more original that you are in your content, whether it's for yourself personally, or if you're trying to build your brand inside of your company that you work for, or you're trying to build your brand as an authority in a marketplace, which is something that I'm trying to hopefully do over time, or you're trying to focus on being a content creator, or you have a business that is going to be pushing out content, the originalness of that content and not copying things and or finding trendy things to follow is going to continue to be more popular as our social media companies become more mature and are now reaching into adulthood, I guess you could say. So that's the very first one, is so original content is going to continuously to be key. The other thing that's going to be really strong is if you are a business owner, a lot of the times when you're a business owner, you're focusing on ads, you're focusing on billboard ads, newspaper ads, commercial ads, social media ads is like, some type of video that you would maybe see on, a big, on television, but kind of restructuring it to be on social media. And so that is great. But what we're going to see now in the middle of 2023 and start to get stronger in 2024 is user generated content. And now there's companies like Billio, and I think there's this other brand one where you can go and find influencers. You give them like those scripts, and you're going to see a lot more user generated content advertising. So rather than going and you hiring someone, you would go find it, and it's kind of like influencer marketing, but it's a little bit different because you're going to use it more on your own, like your own ads from your company rather than them just spitting it on their social media platforms. You're going to get a mixture of that. So their influencers or creators that get paid to create user generated content, inspired content for your specific brand. And so it kind of sounds like a freelance content creation, but they'll fill the gap in the marketplace. And so you're going to see those types of content be created even more, but you're going to see it being advertised from your business's social media. So the idea is that, let's say you go onto one of these and you find someone, they make that content, they push that content out, but then you can also take some of their best ones, and you can have those be ads on your social media platform. That's where I see that this is going to specifically go, and that user generated content is going to be more prevalent, and it's going to get more saturated. And that's what's going to take place from now into 2024. The other place that you need to do is YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts should be a part of your strategy no matter what you're doing. That's something that I fucking suck at. I'm just being honest. Because it's stuck in 60 seconds. Most of my stuff is over 60 seconds, so it's hard to repurpose that content. So there's two ways to do it. One, you can do remixes from your videos, like this podcast, if it's an MP4 on YouTube, which hopefully it is, depending on how much I get done. And so if this is on MP4, and by that I mean it might be a week or two before it shows up on YouTube, but once it's on YouTube, I can remix that, I can repurpose that as a 60-second clip into the YouTube short. And then, or you need to have a regular strategy where you're putting out YouTube short content from both remixes of your long form content, and then create specific short form content to those specific things. And so that's going to be very, very continue to be very, very important, is making sure that you have a short-term strategy for YouTube shorts. And I mean a long-term strategy for short form content on YouTube shorts. The other thing that you need to make sure that you have is AI. You need to get over, if you have this problem, you may not have this problem, but if you do have this problem, you need to get over AI, learn ChatGPT, I like Bing's the best so far, and then I like Bard, and then I like ChatGPT, but make sure that you're utilizing AI as best as possible, because it can help you speed up certain things. Doesn't mean that it needs to make the content for you, but utilizing AI in lots of different capacities can benefit you in a lot of different ways. And there are a lot linked into this thing where they did free courses for a long time, or for not a long time, for a short period of time. They did LinkedIn AI courses. So you could go on to LinkedIn, learn about how to utilize AI, because artificial intelligence is going to continuously improve and build into a larger economy. And so it's very important, if you are a business owner or a content creator, that you understand artificial intelligence, and that you understand it at a little bit of a deeper level, and that you can utilize it to your advantage, because it's going to save you so much time. So don't fear it, learn it and lean into it. And then you can, from there you can fear it, I guess, all you want, as long as you're utilizing it to the best of your advantage. The other thing is LinkedIn's going to continuously be strong. Now, LinkedIn pulled back a little bit on the kind of content that they're going to be pushing out in their algorithm. And I did that either in a podcast episode or on a TikTok or something. But essentially, they are wanting you to show your authority on LinkedIn. So for instance, if I'm really good at business and or stocks and or financial markets and or, economics or taxes, if I put that type of content on there, that's the type of content that they're going to look at and then push out, because it's all about building your authority in an area of your expertise. And so whether or not you're trying to go up in your company, you need to do that. Whether or not you're a personal brand and you're trying to create that brand authority, or you are like me working to create that authority specifically to go into government positions, and government positions, I mean, political positions, or going into being on boards and helping govern things, or being on philanthropic boards. So the goal is that you need to utilize LinkedIn to show that type of authority that you have as best as possible, and not just the same type of content that you put on, say, say TikTok, where TikTok is more of the I don't want to say entertainment. You can still have authentic, authoritative content on there. But like if I'm talking about life insurance and I do a post about the benefits of say life insurance as opposed to keeping your money in a 401k, well, I can put that on TikTok as well to get leads. I can utilize those same types of content concepts, reposition them a little bit, and then put them on LinkedIn to show my authority in the life insurance space. And so that is kind of what you want to do. Or in my case, where I'm trying to show my authoritativeness, and authoritativeness, not like, oh, authority. It's like authority, like you people, when they think of you, they say, hey, that guy's really good at taxes. That guy knows governance. Guy knows family wealth. That guy knows art. Those types of things. I just randomly pick some of those. And so when you put that content on LinkedIn, you want to show that so that when people start to see that, they start to associate you with those types of things. And that's what I mean by authority. So you need to make sure that your business, and have a plan for LinkedIn creators. And I would just say start pushing content on there and then just kind of look at it like a feedback loop and start getting better and better at it. And that's going to continue to get stronger as we move into the end of 23 into 2024. And then we're going to see, you need to 2023 into 2024, we're going to get a lot of storytelling. One trend that was in 2022 that is taking off in 2023 that's going to continue to get stronger is the concepts of telling a story midway through instead of at the beginning. So really the story is it's the ultimate hook, whether it's decoding a trending topic or sharing a soundbite that's bound to stop viewers in their tracks and make them want to play catch up. So if you post something like catchy at the beginning, then you are going to the story and then you lead into the hook. So essentially it's like, I have this thing that's going to like show the problem, grab the hook, grab you at the very beginning, then you're going to tell the story and then you're going to do the call to action for that. That makes sense. And so you want something at that front end to be very hooky. And then you could come back to that through the storytelling process and then do a call to action. So for example, like if I'm doing a World War III thing, I could be like doing a TikTok and say, oh my gosh, we're about to go into World War III. That's the hook thingy that grabs their attention. But then what I do is I do a storytelling to get to that, kind of like what I did in this in this podcast about what's happening in Israel. And then I have some type of call to action. If I have a call to action to, I don't know, subscribe to Bloomberg's or something, right? And so that's the kind of storytelling that we need to tell when we're doing the short form content. And even in long form content like this, you need to have something that grabs them, and then you need to tell a story to get to it, and then you need to do a call to action. And then some of the other things that are going to be more prominent is, like you've seen Threads is out there. We're going to start to see more content be able to be pushed onto Twitter or X. So make sure that you have an X strategy in place. And again, you don't necessarily need to have, I would say you need to have a LinkedIn for yourself at least, and building your authority and your brand. But for your business, it may not need all of this. You need to go find out where your people are and focus on there. One of the things that's been great for me being a millennial is that I have not been utilizing Facebook as much as I should. So I personally started doing a lot more brand stuff on Facebook, and it's getting a lot more engagement because all of my friends were on there from when I was, younger, right? When Facebook came out in 2005, I was 2005, 23 or something like that. 23, 2002 is when 18, 19, 20, 21 in 2005, right? So in 2005, when I was 21, that's when Facebook was big. And so I should have been building this really big Facebook this whole time, but I didn't know any of this. And here we are. But it's never too late to start. And that's why it's important that you start rather than not starting. So some of the things that you can think about going into 2024 is, one, make sure that you have a social media strategy. Focus on what's the word? On authentic content creation, right? Like new original content creation for what you're doing. And then secondly, make sure that if you're a business or if you're trying to make money, realize that you can make money as a user-generated content creator, or you want to find user-generated content creators to generate your advertising and then have them push that out on their platforms. But then also, I would recommend them making something for you so that you can use those as ads on your platform as well, or push through your channels as well. YouTube Shorts needs to have a strategy. And I think that you need to spend some time working on AI because it's going to continuously go mainstream. And it's just getting freaking ridiculously huge. And then make sure that you have a LinkedIn strategy for yourself, at least. If your business is a business, you can probably have a LinkedIn business strategy. I would recommend that. But you definitely want to have it for yourself and being able to show your authority as you build your personal brand, because that can be beneficial no matter where you're at, whether you're working for someone or working for yourself and you're trying to create your overall brand. And so, with that being said, as I always say, Namo Amida Butsu, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we will talk with you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Age of Jeremy. If you like this episode, make sure that you subscribe to it and give me a 5-star rating if your podcatcher allows you to. Our opening song was Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs, and our closing song was Illuminati Hotties Threatening Each Other, Recapitalism. I like to use Zoom L8. I use Neumann microphones. I record on Steinberg's Cubase, and I use Waves plugins. One last time, Namo Amida Butsu. Remember, be thankful, grateful, and kind.